All right, how's it going, everyone? My name is Philip. I am doing the completion, one of the certifications. This is a challenge called Mail-in Trail. So let's dive into this and let's go through it. It took me a while to figure this out. I had to bounce off of some friends. I had to use ChatGPT, and I needed a second pair of eyes. And with the second pair of eyes, we stumbled on some things that I was suspecting, and then we finally figured it out. So here we go. Mail-in Trail. Background story. An organization's monitoring system identified suspicious download activities captured in a honeypot named Cowrie. The event was recorded by the Splunk system, but the system cannot be accessed because its operator was recently released from the company. Boo-hoo. As a newly hired security analyst, you need to connect to the mail server and retrieve the necessary data to access the Splunk system and investigate the suspicious activities. Please note the mail server's credentials are username John D, password is Tor, T-O-O-R, and the server IP address is our IP address +1. Okay, let's scroll down. Here's our goals. Review the background story before beginning the challenge, connect to the mail server and retrieve important emails, use the credentials found in the emails to log into the Splunk system, search for recorded suspicious activities in the Splunk logs. Now this is where I got stuck after this. Identify and access the source of the suspicious activity, and then decode the message to identify the flag. This is what took me a long time. So, without further ado, let's jump into it, shall we? Continue through the challenge. Stay here, refresh machine, let's get it loaded. Oh, and by the way, down here, you see this? I used that hint. Even though I knew it was going to be useless, I used this hint, and I was like, yeah, I already knew that. That's dumb. These hints are worthless, so never use the hints. I feel like they're always completely worthless. All right, here we go. Start challenge. Every time I see this master splitter, I always think it says master splinter. Like I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or something. What's up with that? All right, let's allow text messages and things to be copied because that is super helpful to be able to control, copy, paste, all that jazz. All right, let's jump right in. All right, we'll put it down here. That way you can see the host name, the IP address, all that jazz. Now, I'm going to walk you through what I did. First and foremost, we have to access PowerShell. Now, yes, the IP address is right here, and that's handy. I just did this just for kicks, because why not? IP config, and there you go, confirming our IP address, 10.071.236. It's going to be different every time. That is our IP address. So we know, based on the tips, that the server IP address for this honeypot is +1 to that. All right. The next thing I needed to do is I needed to Telnet. If you're not familiar with Telnet, Telnet is a way that you would access like emails, like kind of not an exchange server. I don't know how to explain it. But so it shows me here that Telnet is not installed. Now, I did it the hard way. I forgot I could have just used PowerShell to install things. But what I did was this. I actually went here and turn on Windows features. Turn Windows features on or off. I actually did this. I'm going to show you the PowerShell method as well. But so let's just do that. That's going to load up the server manager. And we're going to wait for all this, blah, 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 blah. Let it load, do its thing. Now, while it's loading, I'm going to pull up my report really quick, and I'm going to copy and paste my PowerShell, what I did. Where are bees? Where is it at? It's up here, I think. Yep. So this was the command in PowerShell, and I'll show you that as well. Control-C, copy that. Minimize. All right. Savvy. Okay, so this automatically popped up for me. Let's go to next. We're going to keep going to next. All of this, that's the IP. That's what we're on our local client. So we're going to install it here. Next. And then I'm going to scroll down. So Telnet's not in this first batch. So I'm going to ignore all of this. And then I look at the second batch. And sure enough, there it is. Telnet client. So let's go ahead and install that. Restart the destination server. Yes. And install. So again, this will take a minute to do its thing. And while that's doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and paste. There it is. Install Windows features, name Telnet client. So I don't want to do it simultaneously, but I just want to show you what that would have done. But that's the command line if you just want to use PowerShell and not bother with the Windows server. Oh, it did succeed. I'm sorry. I've been looking at this right in front of my face. Installation succeeded. I was looking for this to say succeeded. So I guess it's done. All right. Fantastic. But if we go here, we're going to hit enter. Oops. Why isn't it working? There it goes. Boom. Telnet, no change needed. Yeah, so it just shows that it was already installed. So there you go. So that's another way you can confirm it. All right, now that we have Telnet installed, how to use Telnet. So now, Telnet, and then we type in our IP address, 10.0.71.236, and then the port for this is 110, connecting, so there, now it's connected. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. The mail server is +1. There we go. All right, so now we're in Telnet, and so from here, you just need to know some Telnet commands, which I didn't know them, so I had to look them up. So I think the first one was you have to actually log in as a user. Telnet is super annoying. Okay, user, now space, lowercase John D, enter. Now I'm logged in as John D. Then we have to put in his password, so PASS space TOOR. There we go. Now I'm actually logged in. So now from here, you want to list the, like I said, you can't go back. So if you mess up, you just do it over. List, boom. Okay, 4 messages. So now we look at the 4 messages. In order to retrieve the 4 messages, you type in the command RETR and then which one you want. Number 1. So, Blage, read through this and see what it says. Are they important? You decide. Next one, RETR2, same thing. I don't need to read all this. You can read it. You can see what it's saying. It is talking about putting a network performance monitor on, etc., etc. Next one, RETR number 3, not number, just 3. Hey John, we are pleased to inform you the scheduled software on the server has been successfully completed. The update includes several enhancements, blah, 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 blah. Great, wonderful. Still not giving me the information I'm looking for, so let's look at the last message. RETR4 and go. Uh-oh, looks like we got something. We launched Splunk. Here we go. Hey there, we wanted to call your attention to our new SIEM product we released overnight using this new feature, blah, 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 blah. To use Splunk, navigate to the following URI. That's the address we need to go to, and it's not a secure server because I think it's local. So HTTP, no S, and then that is the server. Here's the username, here's the password. This is the one that you were looking for to access Splunk. Let's go ahead and open Chrome, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. HTTP, not S, ://, and what is it? It is the server IP, which we now know is the +1, so that is 10.0.71.237, as I see over here. Did I type? Oh, I typed in the wrong thing. Look at me. 10.0. What in the world? Where did this even come from? 7.1. I must have hit there. There we go. Logged in right away. Boom. Okay, what's our username is admin. Password is, I say capture the flag, capital C, capital T, capital F, _, capital FINAL, exclamation point. Let's log in. Okay. No. So we really don't need anything else back here. We're pretty much done with PowerShell for now. Search and reporting. So I don't know Splunk. I had to learn it as I was fumbling through this. So what's the first thing I did? Well, we're searching for stuff. So we went to search and reporting. Now, this is where I was definitely getting lost because I didn't know what I was looking for or anything. And apparently there's indexes. So you can actually search like the main index. I think it's like this. And the cool thing about this is it caches searches. So it looks like a lot of this stuff was already cached in the server or in Splunk, I should say. So as I typed this stuff in, I was like, oh, that's cool. Look at all these different things that's out there. And so you can just do different searches. So I just did main and started there, okay? But here's the kicker. Nothing showed up. And this took me a while to figure out, honestly, and this was driving me nuts. So then I kept going back to ChatGPT and I'm like, how do I get my data over to Splunk? Maybe the data is missing, blah, 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 blah. And it didn't dawn on me until finally I was like, oh, maybe we should look at like past records. So finally I went to all time. Now we go to search main and booyah, everything shows up. So if that one took me forever to figure out. When I finally got past that, I was like, oh my gosh, we can finally start searching for things. But there's there's hundreds of thousands of results. So this isn't gonna do us any good. So then I said, well, Cowrie is the thing that we're looking for. So let's just look at Cowrie and look at all of these cached search things. And I said, oh, honeypot. All right, so let's look at Cowrie honeypot service. Okay, so I went for that next, right? No results, but here we go. 12,000, 28,000, a lot of results. So again, just kind of scanning through these, I see some failed things. I see some stuff started and stopped. And this is fairly normal stuff, right? Scheduled restart. A lot of this stuff looks fairly straightforward. But I'm like, well, why are things failing? That seems kind of odd to me. And again, I was scrolling through this forever. Oh, and go back up here. Changes from 20. I don't know why they don't have 100, but it's 50. So I was just doing quick scans and quick searches. But nothing was really jumping out to me except for these things failure. I'm like, well, why are things failing? That's kind of weird. So then I said, well, let's look at just failed. Let's just go with that search, okay? Just straight up failed. Still 10,000. Okay, well, honeypot service is failing. Why? Why is it failing? That seems kind of weird to me. Again, nothing. As I'm scrolling down, you can see the fail, but then a couple of them, okay, failed to open. That's weird. So again, just a lot of searching through what I wasn't even looking for, and there was just so much to dig into. And I just kept saying, well, what the heck am I actually looking for? And just so many different searches. Then I'm looking for like John Doe. I'm like, let's see if he populates anything. He's got a whole bunch of results. User John Doe, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, anything here, anything worthwhile? So again, you can spend all sorts of time. I know you just want me to cut to the chase. I get it. But I was just showing you my methodology of what I was doing. Just login attempts. I was trying to look for his password. I typed in John Doe's password, looking for those kinds of things. And then I started looking for again. So then I was like, well, let's go back to the failed and let's try this. Let's do failed login. Let's try that, right? And let's see what that nets me. Now we really narrowed it down. So now we're saying, okay, somebody's trying to log in, but they failed. So that's obviously super suspicious. People should know their password. And you know, if you have 81 failed attempts, that's throwing a flag in my opinion. So now here we go. So now we're finding this Cowrie login failed. That's really, really wild that somebody's logging into the Cowrie server and they're logging in failed. And you can look at, they're looking with root, password, they're trying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's password, they tried root, password, root. And we keep going on. And then password, message, they tried all sorts of different passwords, but they kept failing. But here was the kicker, and if I can find it, it's this IP address. So again, I went back to the IP address and I started looking at some of those things. And I said, well, maybe there's something with this IP address. So I looked at that, 192.168.56.1. And sure enough, there's a bunch of cached searches for that. And that yielded more results. So I was like, well, crap. So now we need, and that's when I discovered Jane Doe, Jane D. I was like, well, that's the user. And she had a valid user because I started searching for her and her login attempts were pretty legit. They weren't failing. So that was interesting. I was like, well, but somebody's using this IP address. So same thing. So then I did login failed. So to match all of this criteria, and we got 64 events. So now with this IP address, Cowrie login failed. Here we are again, same thing, root, password, blah, blah, blah. So again, we're narrowing down the searches. So from here, I was like, I was stumbling on this forever, this JSON request. Because I'm like, if I can get access to the JSON file, I should be able to find all the messages. I should be able to actually parse the data and really look at what I'm looking for. Because this is very confusing. And I won't dive into Splunk, but I was basically learning Splunk in real time. And I was like, okay, so if we open it up, we can select certain things. And so this is what I was using to get raw data and different things. You could extract new fields. So this took me days to solve all this. When I say days, it wasn't like I was at it for 8 hours a day. I would spend maybe an hour or two on it and I would just get stuck. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm doing. And so then I kept using ChatGPT to understand Splunk, and I kept doing this, but it kept netting me no results. I bounced off one of my buddies who was familiar with Splunk, but he wasn't that familiar, and so him and I kind of stumbled through it. And so we were doing a lot of the Splunk features. We were using the features to kind of narrow this stuff down, but we kept coming back to the same results, but still not knowing what we're looking for. And I kept saying, I was like, this, you know, and we both of us were really honing in on this Cowrie JSON file. And we were like, how can we access it? So there's no way that I could go back through PowerShell and show you all this, but I don't need to. We were trying to access this IP address, this 192.168.56.1, and there was just no way to access it. And in fact, I put together this. Let me see if I can pull it up on my screen. Let me open it up and I'll show you what I did. I mapped this out because I'm like, okay, here's what I know, right? And I just had to draw this diagram because I'm like, here's the Windows client. Here's what I know. That's me. Here's the server. right? And I just put all the pertinent details because you just don't know what you're looking for. And we came to the conclusion, him and I, my buddy, we're like, okay, and this is different IP addresses now, but we came to the conclusion, hey, here's the mail server, here's how you access it currently. Here's the Splunk server, here's how you access it. Great. We couldn't find anything running through Telnet or SSH on the various ports. Nothing was running. So we ran ports on all open ports. And again, we just couldn't find a whole lot running. We knew that there was a private network, and that's that 192.168 server. We couldn't access it no matter what we tried, but through Cowrie, we were able to see that some of these things, this is how they were accessing information or messages, etc., etc. We threw some other stuff over here, but whatever. Point is this is what I did as a visual to kind of walk me through what I was trying to solve, okay? So back to this. So now here's the other thing that I found, and it took me a while to find it. Again, a lot of this stuff, and I remember seeing, I don't remember how I stumbled across it, something about a download, right? Something about a login fail with a download. So I went back to this, and maybe let me see if I found it in the 81 searches. Here we go. 81 searches. So here's all this JSON, still JSON request. And I think if I do a Control F, I think I can find download. No, it doesn't exist. So I don't know how I stumbled upon the downloaded files or the downloaded messages, but I did. And I was like, they're in here somewhere. They have to be in here somewhere. But I don't remember, honestly. I did so many searches, I just don't remember what I did. Yeah, none of these are populating anything yet. Just these JSON files. I don't know, but let's just assume that I figured it out. I don't remember what I did to find that. But so then I went to download, because I do remember something about it being a download file and that we were looking for something with download. Again, that's a lot of events. And it looked like the person was trying to download the JSON file as well. And so that kept netting me no results. Let's try this. Download failed. Let's try that combination. 64 results. I think I already looked at this. Oh, here it is. Download files from URL Pastebin. So then that's where I finally, again, after coming back to it several times, I was like, there has to be something with this Pastebin. And my buddy's like, Pastebin's just a place where you post screenshots and this and that. He's like, I don't think that's it. I was like, I don't know, man. That just seems so strange. Why the different Pastebins? So then I went to straight Pastebin and I did this. So I went to Pastebin and just searched for Pastebin stuff. Again, I probably went through 50 different searches before I narrowed it down to all of this. So now we've got 56 events. Same thing. And what I did is this is when I started using Splunk's specificities or features, and I extracted new fields, and I had to create a new field just for the Pastebin so I could narrow it down, and I narrowed it down to like the 5. It was what it was, and I think it was actually 11 events that took place to get rid of a lot of the garbage that we don't need. But without going through all that, how I did all that, I basically just did this, and it showed me 11 entries. Now, the 11 entries were duplicate entries, and it was 5 by 5, and then the one random entry, but it was a duplicate. So, and here's what it was. So you take all of these 5 things, and this is what I did. I went to these URLs, and I just started with the first one. Copy to paste. I left Splunk open. Let's paste it. Let's see what it says. Connecting. The site reject your request. Try again later. This was my first thing that I was like, wait, this doesn't even read correctly. What is this? This is somebody from India or China that's relaying this message. I was like, that's weird. Again, my buddy didn't think anything of it. So I said, well, let's check the next one. So I went to the next one. I said, okay, let's copy this one, right? Copy and pasted it. So we went through it, pasted it, checked it out. Downloading files. So then I was looking for the script.batch file, and that went me on a rabbit trail, and that netted me no results. I was like, all right, fine, whatever, nothing there. So let's keep going. Let's find the next one. So here's another one. So 2Q, we got that ZTF or ZT whatever. So copy that one. Let's go. Control C. Boom. There's that one. No, it's not it. Then that was my trigger. I was like, that's it. Okay. Clearly there's something here. We've got to find all of these Pastebin searches. And my buddy's like, he's like, what? And I was like, I'm telling you, we're on the right trail. And he was not having it. He's like, no, we got to be looking for something else. I was like, whatever. Okay, so looking ZT, there's a 0CS, no 0CS yet. So here we go. 0CS, copy. Let's put it into the next thing. Paste and go. Up. Oh, what is this? Again, I didn't know what I was looking for until I showed this to my buddy. Because I was like, because for me, I instantly was like, oh, that's it. That's our clue. That's what we need to go back to our thingy. So I took this, I copied this. I was like, oh, that's it. Because normally that's the flag, right? That looks like what the flag is. And I pasted it here. And no, I was like, dang it. So then I was losing hope again. I was like, that sucks. So back to Splunk. Okay, well, let's keep searching. So, okay, so what else do we got? We got some other messages up in here. Charlie 4 Bravo. Do we have a Charlie 4? No Charlie 4 Bravo. Okay, let's check this one out. So same thing. Copy and paste. And boom, got it. Another, and I was all excited again. I was like, ooh, this is the one. This is going to be my answer. Went and pasted it. Boom, submit. What the heck? Still nothing, right? So I'm still bashing my head against the wall. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, this has to be it. And so then I went back and read the instructions. So I review introduction, stay here. And I went back and it said, identify and access the source of the suspicious activity. Okay, I was like, I feel like I found it. All these failed logins, everything else. So this is where I was stuck. I was like, I feel like I found it. And I kept reading this last thing, decode the message. So I was stuck on this decoding message. So I went back to Splunk and I was like looking for messages and this, that, and the other. And again, just full circle. And I was like, what the heck? This doesn't make any sense. And so then I asked my buddy, I was like, okay, because we had disconnected and he went and did something and I came back to it. I was like, there's got to be something with this pastebin. I'm still like, my head is like, no, pastebin is our answer. It's got to be this. He's like, we tried it. There's nothing there. I was like, and then I was like, okay, well, what about decoding? I was like, if that's a hash value, how do you decode it? Again, I forgot how to do this stuff. He's like, well, what's basic? He's like, base 64 decode stuff. I was like, what is that? Tell me. And he sent me the URL. I was like, oh, okay, well, what does that mean? Back to here, new window, base 64 decode.org, enter. All right. So now I'm like, yeah, whatever. So now I'm like, well, let's see what we got. Okay, back to this. So I went to this one. Copy and paste, enter, or decode. You gotta decode. So this one, the shorter one, netted me this. Yes, this is base 64 in code. Oh, cool. This might net me something. Yay. So back to the long one. Triple click. By the way, if you don't know, triple click will highlight the whole thing. Copy. Back to this. And then let's paste this in here and paste, decode. Congrats! You have finished the CIT final successfully. Oh my gosh, was I so excited when I finally got this. Man, was I excited. And so then I called my buddy and I said, that was it. That was the clue. And I had him push it, paste this in. I sent him the message and he pasted it. And he's like, oh, that's neat. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And he's like, that was stupid. I was like, I know. I was like, it's terrible. Back to the challenge, stay here. All right, let's paste it. Let's see what happens. Ready to submit my answer? Heck yes, I am. Submit. Boom! There you go. So that's how you solve it. You just solved it. I know that was a long video. I was dazed trying to figure that out. So there you go. So that is how you solve the mail and trail challenge. Good luck to you. Hope this helps.